All right, let's talk about Amtrak. There's this whole romance around the idea of American train travel, right? The gentle rocking of the car, watching the country roll by your window, no traffic, no airport lines. But then there's the reality, figuring out the schedules, what to pack, and all the little unwritten rules. So that's what we're going to do today. We're building the definitive beginner's guide, sorting through the dream and the details to get you ready for your first real adventure on the rails. Okay, let's get into it.
And this is the promise, isn't it? This is what Amtrak sells, and it's what pulls so many of us in. The idea that this isn't just about getting from point A to point B. It's about experiencing the journey, seeing the country in a way you just can't from 30,000 feet, and doing it all without the usual stress of modern travel. It's a call to something different.
So what's the official pitch? Well, the perks are actually pretty compelling. I mean, we're talking wide, spacious seats. Seriously, travelers say a basic coach seat on Amtrak has more legroom than a first-class seat on a plane. And this next one, a total game changer, no middle seats ever. You could forget that chaos. Plus, you get to skip the airport madness, and you have a really generous baggage allowance. It's all designed for you to lean back, relax, and actually enjoy the view.
Okay, so you're sold on the idea. But when you go to book, it can feel a little overwhelming. It really all boils down to this one single trip-defining question you have to answer first. How do you want to ride? Because your choice between a coach seat, a roomette, or a full bedroom is going to shape your entire experience, from how much you spend to how well you sleep.
This chart breaks it all down perfectly. You can see coach is by far your most affordable option, and the seat itself is surprisingly comfy. But making that jump to a sleeper car, a roomette, or a bedroom, that's where everything changes. You get your own private space, and check out that meals row. They're included. That is a huge perk on a long journey. The main difference between the roomette and the bedroom, well, it really comes down to having more space and, this is a big one, having your own private bathroom right in your room. So, how do you book smart? A few quick tips. First, always sign up for the free guest rewards program. It's a no-brainer. You're just leaving points on the table if you don't. And definitely book as early as you can. Amtrak's pricing works a lot like an airline's. But here's the most important tip on this slide. Try, if at all possible, to plan a trip on a single direct route. If you absolutely have to connect, do yourself a massive favor and book a hotel for that layover. Whatever you do, avoid tight connections. Trust me, we will circle back to exactly why that is so critical in a few minutes.
All right, your ticket is booked. Awesome. Now for the next crucial phase, packing. And look, I'm not talking about picking out your outfits. On a long-distance train trip, what you bring with you is the difference between a cozy, comfortable journey and a pretty miserable one. Think of this as your onboard survival kit. This is how you build your own little comfort bubble on the train. A blanket is non-negotiable. I'm serious, those cars get cold, especially at night. An eye mask and headphones are absolute lifesavers when lights stay on or when new people are getting on at 2 a.m. Snacks are key because the cafe is not open 24/7. And power is a precious resource, so a power bank is a must. And that last one is a genius pro tip. Pack a small overnight bag with your toothbrush and essentials so you're not digging through your giant suitcase in the middle of the aisle.
And if you don't believe me about the blanket, just look at this quote. This comes from a family that took a 32-hour ride, and they called not having a blanket their big flaw. It just goes to show you something that simple isn't a luxury item here. It's a straight-up necessity. They learned the hard way, so you don't have to. Now, probably the most critical piece of gear on that packing list is a travel adapter. Here's the deal. Whether you're in coach, trying to share outlets, or you've paid for a private room, you'll often find you only have one single plug. This little gadget is an absolute lifesaver. It lets you charge your phone, your headphones, and your laptop all from that one socket. Seriously, do not leave home without one.
Okay, you're booked, you're packed, and now you're stepping onto the train. So now what? Let's talk about what the experience is actually like. How to find your way around and how to understand the social etiquette of life on the rails. Let's just bust the biggest myth right out of the gate. A lot of first-time riders, especially if they're in coach, think that beautiful glass-domed observation car is somehow off-limits or for premium passengers only. It is not. That space, which is often called the Sightseer Lounge, is the social heart of the train, and it is open to every single passenger. And why should you go there? Well, because it has, without a doubt, the best seats on the entire train. We're talking panoramic, floor-to-ceiling windows with seats that face outwards. It's where you'll go to meet other travelers, find a table to play cards, or get some work done.
And it's usually where the cafe is located, right downstairs. You have to spend some time there.
Okay, game day. Here's your checklist. First, this is at an airport. You do not need to show up hours early. 30 to 45 minutes is perfect. Second, when the train makes what's called a fresh air stop, absolutely get off and stretch your legs, but do not wander far from the platform. They will leave without you. And remember to tip your car tenants and dining staff in cash, and just be respectful of the official quiet hours.
And now we get to what is probably the most important part of this whole explainer. We've gone over the fun stuff, but this is the insider info. This is the reality check that separates a fantastic trip from a really, really stressful one. So, after all the research, talking to seasoned travelers, reading all the blogs, what is it? What is the single biggest, most common, and most potentially disastrous mistake that a first-time rider is almost guaranteed to make?
There it is. It's thinking you can hop off one train and onto another with just an hour or two to spare. This is not like changing planes in Atlanta. Trying to make a tight connection is the single fastest way to completely derail your entire trip. And it's because of one fundamental truth you have to understand about Amtrak.
And that's the hard truth, put perfectly by some very experienced travelers. See, outside of the Northeast Corridor, Amtrak very rarely owns the tracks it runs on. It's usually at the mercy of freight trains. And what that means is that delays aren't just a possibility, they are a core part of the experience. You have to plan on it being late.
Just look at this number, 12. That is the number of hours a single train was delayed on one trip. So if you go into this whole thing expecting a precise on-the-dot schedule, you are just setting yourself up for stress and disappointment. But if you go in expecting delays, you can just relax and treat it as a little more time to enjoy the ride. It's all about your mindset.
So let's just boil this all down to the 3 things you absolutely need to remember. Number 1, your mindset is everything. Expect an adventure, not a Swiss watch. Delays are part of the journey. Number 2, your comfort level is your choice. That decision between coach, roomette, or bedroom will define your trip. And number 3, pack for success. That survival kit we talked about, with the blanket and the power bank, yeah, that's not optional, it's essential.
And that really leaves us with this final thought. Is taking the train just transportation? Or is it an adventure in itself? The secret, the real key to loving the Amtrak experience, is understanding that it has to be both. It's a wonderfully inefficient way to get from one place to another, but it is an absolutely magnificent adventure. And if you go in knowing that, you're going to have an amazing journey.